Here's an update on the big storm heading our way for Friday here. Not a lot of change in the way, or at least not a lot of change in the way. Let's start over again. 3, 2, 1. Well, hi, everybody. Here's an update on the big storm heading our way on Friday. Not a lot of change in the forecast with this one. Everything is about the same today as it was just 24 hours ago here. If we kind of take a look at here with our major storm system, it still looks like those strong wind gusts. We maybe lowered them by maybe a touch here. I'm thinking 55 to 65 mile per hour range here, starting on late Friday morning and throughout most of the afternoon. Should relax some after dark here. And it's also going to bring some low humidity levels, 10% or lower across a good part of the region, especially across maybe central and western parts of Texas. Could be down in that 0% range. And it's going to be, unfortunately, creating an environment very favorable for fire weather concerns here. Big fires possible here on Friday, as it looks really bad in terms of that. I know a lot of people are talking about the severe weather aspects, and that is something to keep an eye on, but that's way east of Texas and Oklahoma here. But what we do have to keep an eye on, though, for our part of the country does remain the strong wind gust and the fire weather concerns. That could be a big deal as well. Very low barometric pressure here, and that's the pressure at the center of this area of low pressure. That's going to pass north of us, but the pressure gradient around it will be impacting a good part of Oklahoma and Texas here. It looks like at least across our region about 992 millibars, or if you're measuring that in inches of mercury, about 29.29. And of course, this does create a lot of problems in terms of aches and pains on your body. Unfortunately, we're kind of in a weather pattern now where if you just do suffer from weather-related illnesses, you could really continue to suffer from that, as it looks like there's going to be several storms still crossing the southern U.S., strong early springtime type storm systems that bring those ups and downs of barometric pressure here. So we look at the water vapor. I love showing the water vapor. It just really tells the weather picture story good here. You can really see tonight's storm system. This is moving across East Texas with some thunderstorms over that way. The weather that's going to be moving through a good part of Texas and Oklahoma tomorrow. Dry weather. Tomorrow, Thursday, looks like a really good day weather-wise, actually a very good day weather-wise. But if we take the flight out into the western part of the country here, this is going to be California. This would be the Four Corners region, which would be Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. And then this would be the west coast of the U.S. Here is the Pacific Ocean. Notice this big curve, almost big circle here. This is our big storm system. And around it, not underneath it, but around it, you get these real strong winds at jet stream level. And jet stream level would be about 20 to 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. That's very, very strong upper level wind gusts. And that energy that's up there will transfer down to the Earth's surface and help to create a big windstorm here as we head into Friday. So we can kind of pinpoint the barometric pressure here. Let's start. And all of these numbers you see here are measured in millibars. So what I want you to watch here is I want you to watch the drops in this. All right, so this is going to be Thursday evening. No big deal here. But let's stop this on Friday afternoon. So early in the day, this low pressure system will be up near Goodland, Kansas. This is early Friday morning, just east of Denver here. It's going to track eastward, east-northeast across northern Kansas, Nebraska, and into Iowa and parts of Missouri here by Friday afternoon. And you can see the big drops in pressure around it. Underneath it, Grand Isle, Nebraska, about 977 millibars. Omaha, Nebraska, 979 millibars. This is the type of pressure you would see with a Category 1 hurricane out in the ocean here. Probably looking at the center there, which is just north of Concordia, Kansas, or pretty close to Lincoln, Nebraska, down to about 972 millibars, or about 28.7 inches of mercury here. That's very strong, and that pressure gradient around that does create the strong wind gusts you see. So this is, of course, Thursday. Again, a good day Thursday. No wind issues here. But as we head into Friday, this is Friday morning, here comes that storm system, and you can see the wind gust already picking up late morning into the early afternoon. It does look like, to me anyway, that the strongest winds could wind up being, because your pressure gradient a little bit stronger just north of us, so you may see your biggest pressure gradient and your strongest winds maybe across the Texas Panhandle into western and southwestern Oklahoma, then maybe even north of Oklahoma City, up this way. Some isolated hurricane force wind gusts will be possible across most of this region here, across North Texas, West Texas. Wind gusts in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range certainly would be possible and likely. This type of wind, very much like what we saw last week across the region here, It can create power outages, especially where these stronger winds are seen here. It can create tree damage, minor damage to maybe some of your property, maybe some homes, maybe like the roof. But in general, you know, again, nothing more significant than what we saw last week. We made it through last week. Should be fine. Live in a mobile home. It'll be a little rocky, but I think you'll be okay here with this. So that would be Friday evening, and it looks like by after dark Friday evening, the storm center will be pulling away, and it looks like the winds will begin to drop. As a matter of fact, Saturday, it looks like the winds will be a lot calmer. It'll be still a bit breezy, but it'll be a north wind there as that system moves on by here. So when you got a storm system this strong, it does a couple things. Out ahead of it, this is the warm side. South winds are going to pull the moisture up from the Gulf. At least initially, there may not be just a whole lot of moisture associated with it, but as you get into late Friday afternoon and Friday evening here, especially Friday night, moisture is going to surge up into the storm system over here across the Mid-South, and there could be some severe weather over there. But for our area, when you see a storm this wrapped up here, you get this what's called dry slide, this dry punch. There's your dry line there, East Texas, kind of over into Arkansas here, Friday morning, and look at that really dry air. That's punching into the storm. That's your dry slot over much of the region here. When you see dry air like that, your relative humidity is going to drop way low, especially when you see these darker gray colors and these white colors. That's relative to humidity, probably 10, 15%, maybe even down below that, even close to zero here. That is bone dry. I mean bone dry air. You throw the wind into that mix, and then you're going to wind up with a situation where the environment is very favorable for rapidly spreading wildfires. So certainly a day that you don't want to throw any cigarette butts out. Of course, a lot of people don't smoke anymore. Since a lot of the cigarettes got banned at local restaurants and stuff, I don't see many people smoking anymore. Mostly what you see is people vaping, and you don't even see that a lot anymore as well. But don't park on the grass. Sometimes your car can be hot enough to spark a fire here. Of course, no welding. Unfortunately, a lot of the problems we see oftentimes with fires in this part of the country, or really anywhere, aren't necessarily man-made. It's a lot of times you'll get the strong winds and you'll get a spark from a down power line, and that could create fires as well. So remember, report fires quickly. They could quickly get out of hand here on Friday. Could be really bad. So let's talk quickly about the severe weather threats. This is well east of Texas and Oklahoma, and I think that as we head into late Friday afternoon, Friday night, there could be some severe weather, maybe some tornadoes over here, especially maybe north Mississippi and western parts of Tennessee, eastern parts of Arkansas, and up here in the southern parts of Missouri, and then kind of shifting over there to the east a little bit later on at night. That's severe weather threat number one. That's going to kind of begin to move on out as you head towards early Saturday morning. But another system, kind of the southern end of this system, is going to kind of whip around, another piece of energy. And this is going to create a pretty ripe environment for another wave of storms, probably before the sun comes up here on Saturday morning across central Mississippi and then expanding northward from there. To me, it looks like there could be a fairly significant severe weather event if everything comes together. This is only Wednesday, it's still Saturday, but it looks like the ingredients might come together here for southeastern Mississippi, east central Mississippi, and over into at least western Alabama for some significant severe weather. This could be in form of maybe some supercells, and there could be some early day supercells even further west along this warm front here. And maybe later on in the evening or later on in the day, a squall line pushing across this area. The squall line would bring more in the way of damaging winds. The supercell threat could have a chance to produce stronger, more significant tornadoes in these areas. Of course, if you look at thunderstorm potential, this is on Friday. You can see as it increases some late in the day over this way in Mississippi and Tennessee. But as you get into the nighttime hours, it does increase some there in parts of Tennessee, and it kind of moves on off to the east. Now watch what happens. The atmosphere recharges as we headed into early Saturday, and it looks like across, again, Mississippi and especially over there in western Alabama, could be a pretty significant environment, pretty ripe environment for that, the severe weather, for storms to really grow and become severe over that way. If we take a look at the future tracker over this way, there's your Friday afternoon, a little arch of storms there from about St. Louis up into Iowa. These could be some wind producers, low wind tornado threat. I don't think it's going to be a lot of good moisture up this way. If we go ahead and put that into motion, you can see additional storms forming a little further to the south. These may have a chance to be maybe a little more supercellular in nature there across western Kentucky down into parts of Tennessee. And then overnight there, maybe some of that into Alabama. Then here comes your next wave. early on Saturday, early morning, early afternoon here. And again, there could be some supercells here, and there's your line of storms developing kind of off to the west there. Look at that expansion of storms as you head into Saturday afternoon, especially over here in eastern Mississippi, southeast Mississippi, and over there in the western Alabama. Those could be some pretty gnarly storms. We'll keep an eye on that. Then that shifts east as you head into Saturday night and early on Sunday. Of course, that's a long way from us, but since it is a big storm system and people like to know, and maybe you do have some friends and family, I know I do, that live over in this part of the country, you might just be interested, and that's why I do show it. And we do have people now on our social media, on my social media platforms, that follow us from all over, so I do try to at least give you some updates on what's going on in those locations. Remember, for Texas, Oklahoma, a lot of wind, fire weather threats, low barometric pressure Friday here. Improvement Saturday, but maybe a little cooler, maybe a little breezy here, but nothing as like we're going to see on Friday here. To the east, Gulf Coast and parts of the Mid-South, severe weather late Friday and into Saturday, but none of that impacts us over our way. Hey, thanks for watching us here on my social media platforms here. That's on my page and the News Channel 6 page as well. And remember to give me a like and follow if you haven't done so as well. And I'd also like to thank Service Master for making these recorded videos and Facebook Lives possible.